Marcus and Narcissa Whitman were brave missionaries on the western frontier. They brought Christianity, medicine, and civilization to Oregon Territory, and then, in 1847, these missionary heroes were brutally murdered by Indians at their mission. This was called the Whitman Massacre, and the lesson was simple. The frontier was dangerous, the missionaries were heroes, and the Indians were violent and ungrateful. That's how a whole lot of us Americans learned this story in the 20th century, if we heard it at all. Generations absorbed the same shape of the narrative. White missionaries were centered. Indigenous people were cast as a threat. Disease, land pressure, and power dynamics were just background noise, if they appeared at all. Stick with me. You need to hear how this is taught now and why the difference matters. Here's what changes when Indigenous voices are included. The Whitmans were not just benevolent helpers, they were part of a colonial system, moving rapidly into Cayuse land. The mission was located at Huayalapu, a place with deep meaning and long use by the Cayuse people. A measles epidemic swept through the region. White settlers largely survived. Cayuse children died in devastating numbers. In Cayuse law, a healer whose patients died could be held responsible. Add to an increase in settler traffic, broken agreements, and pressure on land and autonomy, the violence that followed was not random. It came naturally from grief, fear, cultural misunderstanding, and colonial disruption, and it all collided at once. Modern teaching does not erase the deaths. It just widens the lens and gets more of the true story. It asks the students to understand the cause, the context, and the consequences, not just heroes versus villains. While there is no clear evidence that recent anti-DIA efforts have directly removed this story or altered it, pressure to avoid complexity and Indigenous perspectives put stories like this at risk. When context disappears, the old version of cowboys and preachers and Indians returns. I am not an expert, but I'm an avid learner, so please join me and get curious.